the cloud. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy that you are all on this call. And for those of you lucky enough to join this podcast on titaniumagents.com in the near future, I am so excited for you. And I'm so excited to have the man, the myth, the legend, Rick Geha, who is part of my support line at Exp. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike Bjorkman at Exp Realty, and been with the company a couple of years and got to know Rick very well. And this is our podcast where we talk about agent attraction. And I think this is your first time on, right, Rick?
I think so, yeah. I think I
Cool.
might have been on another one that had some people on it, but it was someone else's call. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that might have been mine too. But so our job today, Rick, is talk about how we've become so successful, how you've become so successful. Want to hear little tips and tricks and any inside information you can give our gang, which a lot of these people, almost all these people on right now are in your line. So Big Papa Rick, welcome to our program. Thank you very much. Give us your 30-second elevator pitch, which I know so well, but I'll let you do it. And we'll jump in.
all right, great. So yeah, it's so important to have a story, an elevator pitch. And when I talk to agents who are thinking about coming to EXP, when I say, let me tell you a little bit about me, I start with, my name's Rick Geha. I'm in the Northern California Bay Area market, and I've been in real estate for a little over 40 years. And I said, in the 2001, in my 21st year in the business, I started opening up Keller Williams Realty franchises and ended up with 9 of them. And between 2007 and 2011, I lost everything. I lost my retirement. I lost my savings. And I also had a divorce at the time and lost the 3 homes I owned. And I had 7 of those 9 offices had over $100,000 a month in rent that I was paying with my partners to keep the doors open when there was no income coming in. So by 2010, my 30th year in the business, I essentially had nothing to show for my 30 years in the industry. A couple of years later, one of my uncles who'd been my mentor when I was younger and had been in real estate for 48 years died 9 hours after an open house, broke. Another of my uncles in business for 47 years died in his office about a year and a half later. The brother of the other one died in his office on a Friday night, and they didn't even find him till Sunday morning. And he, 47 years in the business, died broke. I saw instantly a possibility that could be me, that I was going to be out selling a house, fall over dead, and that was going to be it. No joke, my wife, who's a former realtor, hasn't been in real estate for 13 years, used to say, hey, have you noticed you've never been to a real estate agent's retirement party? And I started thinking, and I go, in my 40 years, I remember going to one retirement party for a real estate agent. So it made me realize I had to, I left Keller Williams, started concentrating on my sales and my team. And then 3.5 years ago, Brent Gove approached me about EXP, and I instantly saw an opportunity to maybe build something that would allow me to look at retirement in the future. My credit score back in 2010 with all those offices and everything I did was 490. Today, my credit score is 800. I'm out of debt, and I've built a very nice retirement and continue to build it for myself and EXP. That's my pitch. It's a little longer than 30 seconds, but
I love it. And that's so true for so many people. We just don't talk about it. Thank God I didn't have enough relatives that got into real estate so they didn't have to be found dead. But, every time I hear that story, it's told exactly the same. So we know it's true, right? I've had the great pleasure of speaking with you and actually watching you demonstrate a live EXP Explained. Today, my first question for you, Rick, is looking back, what do you think the most important thing you did when you joined the company was to get you here where you are today? Like, if you look back, go, man, thank God that one day I did this, or thank God I had a good practice of doing that, or what do you got?
Well, Mike, I got to tell you, one of the greatest things that happened to me is you being in the organization. And I'm not saying that just to blow smoke up your skirt, but that wouldn't have happened if I didn't keep asking Rosie Rodriguez if she would take a look at this. Rosie and I were always in contact. We've been friends. She was trying to get me to use her mortgage company as my team mortgage company. All of that was going on at the same time. So of course, right when I joined, I'm like, hey, you got to take a look at this. And got the resistance, but I kept bugging her about it. And then she was friends with David Golden. They were doing a mastermind or what did they do? It was an accountability call together long before.
Right.
And, but I would say that, you know, there's a couple of things in there that I want to answer. When people that are in real estate say to me, Rick, you've been in real estate 40 years and you've seen some successes and some failures, knowing what you know today, put yourself back in your shoes as a brand new real estate agent, what would you do differently? And I said, I would talk to a ton more people every single day. And by now I'd be retired. And they go, what would you talk to people about? I said, I would be telling everybody, I'm a real estate agent. What can I do to help you? Period. Like that, just simple as that. And it's the same thing with this. If you look at how Brent Gove handled EXP once he got in it versus the way I did, I took it lax. I was going to talk to a few people, but I was still filing lawsuits with Keller Williams. I was still, you know, paying back debt. I was still concerned about money coming in on a regular basis. And so I took my eye off the ball. Now, right up there on my sliding, this is my dining room. It's pretty much where I've been sitting for 4 months. And, you know, Mike, you and I and Brent Conley and David Golden were joking about where we sit all the time and sitting here and recruiting. But about 9 months ago, my wife had a come to Jesus with me. And she said, you know, you coach brokerages all over the United States and Canada on recruiting. You coach teams on how to build great teams, and you're not doing anything you're telling other people to do. What the hell's wrong with you? She said it in a very nice, loving, very high D way. So, and so we started concentrating on that. And so my organization has doubled. I mean, I'm sorry, my front line has doubled since then. And I'm still not at 40, but I'm pretty close. And now, you know, the things change. But I think the one thing that I realize is that just as much when COVID's in and when COVID's out, distractions are imminent. They're everywhere. And they're constant. For me, the distraction could be food. It could be that we have a dog now. We haven't had a dog in 5 years. He's a distraction. Getting out of the freaking house is a distraction. You know, I just spent $1,500 to get my old 1979 MGB up and running and perfect again. And I took the top off permanently because there hasn't been rain in a while. And I just love just jumping in it and driving around, right? With the top down and, you know, things like that. And everybody, life is equal for everyone. Everyone has distractions and everybody has horrible things that happen in their lives. Horrible. And I have never been more focused than I have in the last 7 months. Since January 1st, I hired a $3,000 a month coach who doesn't know more than me about recruiting, but knows more than me about attracting. And there is a difference. And I want you guys to get this, because that team leader that's working for a Keller Williams office, that office manager that's working for a Remax, that office manager that's running a Coldwell Banker, their story doesn't matter. Our story matters because we're talking agent to agent. Our story matters. Guess whose story matters if I'm a Coldwell Banker manager? The Coldwell Banker story matters. That's it. Who I am or whatever. Yeah, I got to be an amazing guy to attract those people in my office. I have a lot of good friends that are Coldwell Banker managers that I'm working on recruiting to EXP. It's the number one line I use with them. When are you going to be done building Coldwell Banker's wealth? When are you going to be done doing that? And they get paid shit. Excuse my language. Sorry for swearing on a recorded call. But my point there is our focus, our ability to tell our story to more and more and more people every day. And my consistency over the past 7 months has been amazing. And my point there is it's never too late. You know, do I wish I'd started with the pressure, the consistency I'm doing now back on day one? Yes, I do. I learned my lesson. It's a divine lesson. And I will definitely make a ton of money in the future for having learned it when I did. And it doesn't matter that I learned it now versus back when Brent did. It's okay. And you know what else I found myself doing? Comparing myself to everybody, even me. I teach people, don't freaking compare yourself with anybody. Just work on you being a great you. But I still do it. People are flashing up their EXP enterprise. You know, I got this many people. I'm getting this much check, you know.
Yeah. When you see people do that, does it motivate you competitively because that's all in our souls? Or does it discourage you because you say, oh, I could never do that?
No, I have a competitive edge, but I also have been competitive enough in the past where I've seen it do damage, right? Like, I got to have that award. I got to be the biggest. And all I can do now is look at it and say, how different will my life be if I do this for me, my wife, and I, like, so that we can have the freedom that we're looking for, right?
Yeah. So there's people on this call that are very good friends of mine, and I know they have this in the back of their head. They're going to say to you, Rick, I want to live my life by revenue share. I want to make a lot of money, but I have to be a real estate agent too. What is your advice on transitioning from real estate sales to agent attraction? Or what is the, in your opinion, the happy marriage between both? What does that look like?
One of the best questions anybody could ask, and when people don't ask it, I like to bring it up. We're all raised, unfortunately. A lot of people talk about their parents. In my coaching life, my real estate, my relationship and personal coaching that I've done for others and been coached, is we learn to say, who's your major adult influence? For most people, it's your parents. But for a lot of people, it's not. But your major adult influence, for almost everybody on this call, certainly me, believed and were raised with something we call and or. Not till I was in my early 50s did I hear about the possibility of and. Even, you know, I used to, Gary Keller writing the book called The One Thing, right? And you read it. And it's not an antithesis of the one thing, but it is, if you look at Gary Keller's One Thing, it says, what in your work life, what in your spiritual life, what in your, this part of your life like that, can you do one thing that would make everything else either easier or unnecessary? All right. My wife is constantly asking me, why don't you quit selling real estate completely and just do recruiting all day, every day? And I said, if I'm making, let's say one day soon, I'm making $100,000 a month in EXP revenue share. Why would I give up a business that even if I stepped away from it and just accepted referral fees, I'd still be getting 200 grand a year? Why would I walk away from that? That's not, it's not responsible, because even if I wanted to give the money away, then I could give 200,000 to a charity, right? Or to my kids or whatever. I don't think it's responsible. And I truly believe now in and. I truly believe, especially since I coach so many brokerages where the owner of the brokerage is also running a large team. He has to run a successful brokerage and run a successful team, and it takes his time. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember that, Mike. I mean, you had 4 of them, didn't you?
Yeah, 4 offices and 300 agents. It was hell, man. It was absolute hell. But I had and.
Yeah. and so that's it, is people get so focused on what they can't do. And what I encourage people to do is focus on this, right? Could you spend an hour a day lead generating for listings or buyers? And I prefer it to be listings. Yes. That's the one thing, is if you're going to build a great rev share, you have to start getting rid of buyers immediately, because they take up too much time. And it's okay. You just have to find people say, oh, nobody would take my buyer to 50% referral. I know 1,000 agents that would take your buyer to 50% referral.
Me too.
Okay. There's somebody in my organization that referred me to an agent that is in my organization that lives 30 miles from here. I didn't even know her, right? She says, Rick, I got a buyer for so-and-so and I want a 50% referral fee. I go, great. I'll give you somebody on my team. I'll tell them I won't take anything. They can take the referral. And they did. So somebody on my team gets a deal. I get nothing out of it, but what? Both the person on my team and that lady are both in my organization. I'll get some rev share. I'm good. My point is this: you can do both very successfully. We are right now, we've got over 7 million under contract right this minute on my team. And I am the key listing agent on the team. In fact, the partnership I had with these 2 other ladies that were going to take over the listing side just ended. All right. And that just ending was a little bit traumatic for me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so busy. I'll share something with you guys, but for right now it's a little private. But I've been asked to be a Forbes online university instructor. And it's been taking up a lot of my time. And I just, when I get done with them, I go, because I got to just be on Zooms all the time talking about what the courses will look like and stuff. And then right there on that wall is my 40 and the people I'm working on, who's hot, who's warm, who's onboarding. And I love that. I love when somebody comes on board. It's like a high. I love when somebody wants to list their house with me. and I love when I get a speaking engagement. So those are the three things. So for me, it's and I'm not going to surrender any of them. I'm just going to be a lot more picky about who gets my time.
Right.
You get that?
Yeah. I try to tell these agents all the time, like, and I'm asked all the time, how do you run a management company? How do you coach agents? How do you work on attraction? How do you run a team, you know, and still be a good dad and friend and all the good stuff? And I tell them the most important thing you need to do is we naturally get to talk to several agents a day. Is that home still available? We're in escrow with people. There's all different ways that we communicate with realtors, but don't realize it. What do you think? And I hope you agree with me, that's one of the best ways to start talking to people when you have to talk to them anyways. You don't have to pick up the phone to ask them about attraction. What would a good script in your mind be? If you're talking to an agent, I'd just call up and say, hey, Rick, I'm calling on 123 Cherry Street. Is it still available? You know, what would that script look like for you?
Oh, you mean as far as transitioning into a attraction script?
Mm-hmm.
Love that. So much fun. First, I make the call about them. I go, hey, thanks so much for calling about that. Listen, real quick, before we tell you about 123, do you have a minute? Yeah. How are you doing through all of this? That's what I do. And when I stop and say it like that, it's amazing how it backs them up and their voice changes and it stops being official. And they go, wow, I barely know you. Thanks for asking. I go, well, you know, it's affected a lot of people. Just wondering, you doing all right? Yeah. Well, great. I'm glad to hear that. Let me ask you, are you planning on showing it soon? Is that why you're asking? Yep. Okay, great. Yeah, it is available. Keep in mind the PEAD form. What, you know, when would you like to see it? Great. Yeah, this and this and this. And I go, terrific. Would you have some time right now for a quick business discussion that doesn't have to do with the house you called about? Yeah. I mean, I got a few minutes. And I did this exact script last week. The guy said he had written an offer on one of my listings before. When I started talking to him, I didn't remember because sometimes you get 30 offers on a listing or whatever, but, and he said, and you handled it so professionally. That was the reason I wasn't afraid to pick up the phone and call you because, you know, I think you're a pretty good guy, right? So anyway, the conversation went really well. I said, when he said yes to the time, I said, great, let me ask you something. Have you heard about Exp Realty and what's going on here? And he said, I'd never heard of it until I actually looked up this listing. He said, I knew who you were, but I didn't even know you were with Exp Realty. I go, great. What have you heard? He goes, really nothing. I go, terrific. Would you be willing to spend some time on the phone with me right now and talk a little bit about it? He goes, well, yeah, I mean, I do got to get going. I said, all right. Exp Realty is without a doubt the fastest growing real estate company in the history of the industry. No doubt. I said, I'll give you an example. I've been with the company only 3.5 years and it was 2,400 agents when I joined and now it's 31,000 agents. He said, holy cow. I said, does that pique your interest a little bit? And he said, well, that's great that it's fast growing. What makes it so special? I said, well, there's 3 things that make it special. The amount of money you pay the brokerage. I'm on an 80-20 till I pay in 16,000 and then I'm done. And I said, I know the market you work in the same market with me. That's about 3 deals, maybe 4. I said, is that happening where you are right now? He goes, no. I said, okay. I said, the other thing is you can earn and buy stock in the company. It's a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. You can earn free stock and you get to buy stock at a discounted rate. And I said, the third thing, they have a very, very, very lucrative revenue share program where over the years you're in the business, a few people are going to follow you. They're going to come and want to work where you work and you get paid very nicely for that. He goes, oh, that sounds interesting. I go, I'll tell you what, I had this 34-minute webinar and it tells a lot about it. And what I love about it is it will create 2 to 3 questions in your mind when you watch it, but it'll answer a lot more than that. What I'd like to do is set up a time later today, tomorrow, or tomorrow night to talk to you about that webinar. If I text it to you, you think you could have watched it by tomorrow night? Sure. I go, okay, great. I'll text it to you. And then how's 3 o'clock tomorrow? Well, let me just watch it and call you. I go, yeah, see, I'd love that to happen, but I know your schedule is probably slammed and so is mine. So let's just put something on the books right now and then I'll text you the webinar. And he did. He agreed to 3:30. So he couldn't do the call today. This was yesterday this happened. So we're doing it tomorrow at 3:30. So I like to try to do it as best as possible in the next 36 hours, but sometimes it goes into the following day. So that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's great. And I love seeing all the different versions of that. I want to move into a different question, but I want to role play that with you. A real role play, and then move on to a different question that I'm writing down now about
volunteer role play.
So I want to be the agent when you call me, and let's role play the other way because that was so awesome. I hope you guys are taking some notes. So I'll be the listing agent, you be the buying agent, and I'll show you the twist that we've been using over here.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad we're doing this where the pressure's not on me, it's on you. I do want to say something. Sarah and I have communicated before about me getting out to Houston. And Sarah, I just want you to know in front of all these people that I'm going to get my ass out there as soon as people say it's okay to travel with them.
Well, I figured that, and nobody here, I want to be respectful of people's feelings about COVID. I don't see it to be a problem, but I think people would look bad, or they would think bad about me if I held a large event. So I think we should wait till it kind of blows over anyway.
Yeah.
And I figured that's what you were waiting for.
Yes. And I actually was going to go to Oklahoma because things were really calm there. We had booked it 2 months ago for me to go to Oklahoma on July 27th, teach on the 28th, come back on the 29th. Mm-hmm. Just canceled it day before yesterday because they were saying the cases in Oklahoma have doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over a little bit.
Well, in Texas, it's on the rise because we've just held everything open. I mean, we're not as cautious as everyone else. So
podcast guys.
Yeah. Go ahead there, Mike.
I love that. All right, so give me a call, Rick. Let's role play that too.
Ring ring.
Hey, this is Mike.
Hey Mike, Rick Geha over at ABC Realty. I'm calling about your listing on Smith Street.
Oh, hey man, how you doing today? Thank you for calling on that property.
I'm good. Listen, I just don't want to take your time. I want to find out if it's available. I want to show it probably later today or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's available, and we'll get you in there as soon as possible. I'll have my assistant arrange that with all the forms and the times and whatnot. So listen, Rick, I know you're an open-minded business guy, and I was just curious, has anybody sat you down and showed you the Exp platform and how it's really been making a difference in today's environment?
No, I have no idea. What is an Exp platform?
Well, the Exp platform is there's a few different things that are wonderful about our property. The very first thing is we're a cloud-based environment. And what that means is we operate in the cloud, and we have about 500 employees that give excellent support. And even before COVID, they were all working at home. So, we hire about 750 agents a week right now, even during COVID, because agents can work a lot more efficiently and effectively through this whole thing. And so when I talk to agents like you that seem super open-minded, I always want to ask, because I assume you know everything, but chances are maybe you haven't really seen the platform. Have you heard much about Exp besides that?
No, I mean, I'm starting to hear about it. I saw a couple of signs, but I haven't asked.
Yeah, I've been here almost 2 years, and I've never been happier, man. And I think it's a really good fit for our area and our marketplace. We have no franchise territories in our company. We can work and collaborate with agents all over the country, but more importantly, our tools and technology and training are really designed to help an agent again grow their business. And the best part about it is it's actually tools and technology that you would actually use. I can go over those with you, but also the most exciting part about it is, we're a publicly traded company. We actually do get to build on a system that we could create, enough wealth and money in the bank for retirement and get residual and passive income. I'm sure you know what residual and passive income is, and one of the nice things about it is when we get to work together and help each other, we actually get paid for it. Like right now, when you sell a home, you're making the owner of your company rich. When we sell homes at our company, we're building our own beach houses. How's that sound?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I know we're both busy right now, but would you be opposed to spending maybe 15, 20 minutes with me in the next couple of days, and we'll have a little Zoom coffee and catch up a little bit?
I wouldn't mind a bit. That sounds pretty good, especially since it'll be on Zoom.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm pretty sure I got you a little bit curious. What I'd like to do is send you a 30-minute webinar that'll kind of go over the company with you. And then that'll be exactly what we talk about when we meet in the next couple of days. Is that fair?
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I know most people will text me something, Rick, and I probably won't watch it. But knowing that's exactly what we're going to talk about, do I have your word you'll watch it?
Yeah, you do.
Cool.
And yeah, good question, Mike.
Fair enough. So that's really it, you know, and pumping them up and saying you're open-minded, you're business-minded. Usually they start asking a lot more questions, you know, but for the sake of time, I know it didn't go that direction, but it could go in so many different ways. And
right. You handled it in a way that kept everything kind of moving forward. My wife likes to say is, you know, I've got this down on my calendar for this time. Is there any reason not to believe it's an actual appointment?
That's awesome.
And, you know, and I've used that in the past, but, you know, for a high IS like me, my wife's a super ID. I'm a high IS. We don't like to ask questions that seem more confrontive like that, but I love the way you did that. I know people send you stuff all the time. Do I have your word? You'll watch it. I like that. I'll use that.
Yeah, and then because I always back up and say, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So, and it's working, you know, many of us on this podcast, many of us have recruiters that are hiring to grow our teams. And that was the next thing I wanted to segue in. If you're an agent and knowing how important your front line and FLQAs are, what are your thoughts on building a local team and keeping that growing, kind of running like yours, where you could be the boss, the manager, the team leader, and let that organically grow so it will help your front line? Or you just say, no, I don't need a front line, that's my team, I just need to spread out all over the country?
Yeah, no, I have, that's the thing that really changed over the past 7 months. I was spending so much time traveling the country and building the depths of my organization, and wasn't spending any time. So I was a speaker and trainer for Keller Williams for 14 years. So I knew people all over the US and Canada, but I didn't know a ton of people like well enough here so I just started, you know, making my calls here. And, you know, as I look up on the board, my wife has everybody that's in green means they're counting as FLQA, and everybody that's in red needs a transaction. And so I'm working with all of the ones, there's about 11 of them that are local, like here. And since I work with lead generation systems and I get referrals, I'm starting to look at that list and decide who's getting that referral and who's getting that business. It doesn't change the split. You know, if we we just got a referral from Arizona for Alameda, California, which is an island here. 25% will go off the top, and then 50-50 between me and the teammate. That doesn't change if they're just one of my front line that's not a teammate. They still get offered the same opportunity, but you'd be surprised how excited they are, because they're on my team calls. I have a team call 1 o'clock on Tuesdays for the Rick Geha real estate team, but everybody in EXP all over that I'm personally recruiting are welcome to be on it, even if they're like, I have a girl from Minnesota that jumps on it all the time. Then I have my Wednesday mentoring call from 3 to 4. Anybody I'm mentoring or anybody that wants to be mentored can jump on. And then my free Friday coaching call every Friday morning at 9 a.m. All of those people are on it, so they're getting it. And then they get a little personal attention from me like that to really help them see that I'm here to help them live a better life. And they also get a little personal attention from my wife. All the people on my front line get personal attention from my wife because she's an attraction coach. The lady I have as a coach is my wife's coaching partner. And they work really well together. They coach a lot of people from EXP also. And I'm talking about people outside of the people on my front line. a lot of people in everybody's organizations from all over the US and Canada. But they, you know, she has got it such that I'm focusing on making those people count. And, you know, I'm not to 25 yet, and I measured what my check will jump by when I get to 25. Even though I have a lot more than 25 people on my front line, I got to get 25 counting. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely, because that is important. And a lot of the time I'm spending right now is building these systems for my front line that are local, that are on my team, right? The teammates come and go, but we want to do what we can to make them super successful, meaning create leads and whatnot. So, all right, let's switch gears to the depth now. Like, you and I very clearly care about the depth of our organization. And people listening to this, they might have 3 or 4 people that they've recruited, and, you know, they might have 4 or 5 levels. And let's talk about the importance of that depth and the support that those people can give them. And I'll straight say it first before you go in. Rick, myself, Jesse, there's so many people within our organization that give free training and free support. My God, take advantage of that and help people in your organization understand what we're doing. But what are your thoughts on depth? And what do you when you lay in bed at night and go, how am I going to retain agents in my organization and get them moving? What kind of thoughts go through your head?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. So, some of you know my wife, some of you don't. I'm married. I like way up.
That's for damn sure. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm totally kidding. You know I love you,
but she presented that problem to me in December. She goes, retention takes a different look on its face when you're trying to retain people you've never met, right? My organization is almost 1,400 people. How do you retain 1,400 people when you don't know 900 of them, right? Or whatever. So we are working on that. So the retention systems always have to start at first level. I've gone to Brent's office in Roseville and looked and talked to the people that he pays enormous amounts of money to babysit his front line and coach them and make sure they have transactions and all of these things. I'm not to where I'm going to do that yet. But I have an assistant. I have a team. Forget EXP for a minute. Forget RevShare. I have an assistant and I have a team. My assistant has become amazing at creating spreadsheets. I mean, Excel spreadsheets that are in Google Docs, so that I can click on certain things at the bottom of the Google Doc and open up that sheet. And she tells me who's my front line, who's onboarding, and who needs babysitting, who's talked to Casey, who hasn't talked to Casey. Everything is being measured, and that's just 8 months old. I've been with the company 3.5 years. That's only 8 months old. So taking everything much more serious and working this as a business, because that's exactly what it is. Oh, I recruited so-and-so today. I recruited so-and-so today. I go, yeah, how long has it been since you talked to Cherie down there in so-and-so land that's in your front line? Have you said hi to her? You know, so though that consistency and having help doing it, we all think, I think some of you know, I teach a lot about the DISC, but one thing people don't understand is all 4 DISC styles, D, I, S, and C, none of them naturally or behaviorally will ask for help. It's not a natural or behavioral behavior. It has to be a intellectual decision to do it, and it still feels uncomfortable for all 4 of them. D's don't like to ask for help because they think you're going to screw it up, right? And they'll just have to do it again themselves. I's don't want to ask you for help because they're afraid you won't love them if you ask for help, right? S's, they're like, no, I put on earth to help people. I'm not supposed to ask people for help.
I'm here to prove you wrong.
Yeah. And C's, they're just, you're never going to do it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to be very exact, and I'm going to do it this way, so it's better that I don't ask her out. And that's one thing my wife has noticed about me since we started dating 12 years ago, is that I'm horrible at asking for help. But now that she said, you're going to accept help, I'm going to do this, Gina's going to do this, and we are going to have a 5,000 agent organization. Let's get going, right? So I have my strengths and I'm aware of them, and I no longer focus on my weaknesses. I let someone else do that. So.
Yeah, that's very good advice, man. And I think when we get to a certain point, we're forced into what you're talking about, which is making sure the front line and watching the, making sure everybody's got a transaction and looking at the onboarding and looking at the retention numbers and all that. And then it's kind of like once you start doing it, it's too late. Now it's like this huge project. We need to hire, people with multiple degrees to try to figure it out. And if there's any bit of advice I could give you guys listening or watching, start doing it right away, because it's self-motivating. And you start watching, your attrition rate, meaning people who are leaving the company. It's really sad. Like, I blinked one day and realized that I had lost 200 agents. And that's a lot of people. And I bet you probably half of those people, if I would have been a little more diligent with retention and worked with people on my levels below me on how to help retain those people, I bet you at least half of those people would still be here today. Because I believe wholeheartedly that our company has the best support, has the best tools and technology, has the best platform to create wealth. I believe it's got the best platform as far as a compensation plan. But when people are social animals and they're lonely, and they look across the street at somebody else having more fun or communicating more effectively, people join people, right? They will leave for the people and ignore what's really going to build their business in front of them. And it breaks my heart. So, and I know you know that too, and that's why I was excited to have you talk a little bit about that, because we're just one guy or one little team, but we have to help, literally, I'm not 1,400 yet, I'm somewhere in the 8s, but I know that pain that you go through and like, oh my God, I got to help all these people. And, the company does everything you need, but we just need to nudge them a little bit. Take a class, jump into the workplace group, check out how the revenue share really works. Let's do some calculations on if you just brought 6 people, like, what can I do to help you? Did you know that there's these classes? Did you know that KV Core does this? All these things that we need to help us. So all you guys watching and listening, reach out to your organization. Let them know about this podcast. Let them know about our daily huddles that we're doing. Let them know about, everything, and really reach out to them and say, what do you need today? Maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks, just reach out and say, what do you need?
Yeah.
And I think it's your duty as an EXP agent to plug in, dive in, and truly know what the company has to offer, because you don't know what your level 2, 3, or 4 needs. They might need something completely different than you, and I run into that every day. I'm like, oh, you don't care about that, but they do. You don't know what they care about, and that could be the difference of them staying or leaving.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And Mike, let me add to that, if you don't mind. Between 2007 and 2011, there was tons of bankruptcies filed across the United States. The statistics prove that 89% of the bankruptcies filed would not have been filed if they had $500 more a month coming in. $500 more a month coming in. 89% of the bankruptcies. When I'm working with people now, you got to remember, there's a very tiny, low percentage of people that actually do much agent attraction at EXP. It's not the attraction factor, even though some people say, I'm coming for that, then they get there and they don't do anything about it. So my wife and I did the math, and if you attract 5 people and you teach each of those 5 people to attract 5 people, you're at $94,000 a year. Okay? If they all cap. What's the chances they're all going to cap? Very unlikely. Okay? In fact, then we say, now let's pretend that all those 5 people you got and all the 5 people that they each got only half cap. That's $4,000 a month. If I can show you how to have $4,000 a month coming in 1 year, will that change your life? We ask them that question. We've never had anybody say no. I asked that question yesterday to a lady I've been recruiting for the whole 3.5 years I've been here. She has a small brokerage of 6 people in my backyard. She went to high school with my wife. I've known her 11 years longer than I've known my wife. I was her first manager when she got into real estate in 97. And it finally changed her mind. She goes, $4,000 a month will pay my mortgage. She goes, are you kidding? We could do that in a year? I go, you already have 5 agents that are going to name you as a sponsor when you come over. I said, we're already there. We're like, all we got to do is teach them. So it's surprising that you can get people that aren't even in the attraction business or don't know anything about it or think, oh, that's you, Rick, not me, to quickly change their mind when you say, we can show you how to bring 5 Then we'll show how those 5 people can bring 5. And if they're all half cappers, which in this area is 2 deals, maybe 3 a year, you're at $4,000 a month.
Yeah. And I take it a step further with those almost exact numbers.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
And I just say, listen, you know, I know you want to be a real estate agent first, but what if I could get you that $2,000 or $3,000 a month and show you how to properly reinvest that in your business to drive enough leads to you to where you don't have to do an open house as long as you live, and you could literally build your database full of people that want to buy and sell houses, and it's no skin off your back. Like, you literally take a check for $3,000, transfer it to, you know, lead generation from Ylopo or KV Core, which we can show you how to do, and now you get an extra 100 leads a month. And if you can't convert an extra 2 or 3 transactions from 100 leads, well, you probably shouldn't be in the business. But in most people's mind, that's, you know, $15,000 to $30,000 a month of a raise. And the biggest question I ask people is, why aren't you buying leads to keep your pipeline full while you're dealing with your sphere? And they say, I don't want to spend that money. Well, what if I could show you how the company will pay for that? What if I could show you just the money that you would save by being with our compensation plan? You know, you were at Keller Williams spending $35,000 a year, and I could cut that in half. What if I could show you how to reinvest that money and double your business? I mean, there's so many different ways to motivate somebody with agent attraction.
Right.
It's just nuts. But, you know, and something else, and this is just recently, and I know you're going to agree, I always think I know who the people are that are going to be an agent attraction and really grow, right? But the difference is, it took me a long time to figure it out, and now I'm seeing people on my level 4s and 5s, 6s, and 7s that are going to be amazing in agent attraction. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you just don't know who it is. So I would encourage people that kind of ignore their organization below them to stop that, because it just takes one person to go nuts to change your life.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, what level am I to you, right? I'm level 4. You know, we probably would have never met if I didn't go to some of the events and get to know each other. And, you know, who knows? But there's people that you're just now meeting, and, you know, they're like, wow, I mean, even somebody on your level 6 could change your life dramatically if they take off. And it's people, I don't know how to say this the right way, that I used to look at and go, they will never be good at agent attraction. And I've put my foot in my mouth so many times with that. And I've learned, don't judge people, Mike. Don't judge people. And I've learned it in all other areas of business about, like, oh, this person has no money, walk into open a house and they buy a $10 million house. You know, I've learned all those lessons. And again, I had to learn it now. Oh, he or she doesn't have what it takes to agent attract. And next thing you know, they bring in 10 people in a month. You're like, whoa. So it's like, reach out to these people, you guys. Look after them and hold their hands a little bit. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, shame on you, because those people came to this company because of you. Something you did or said got these people them. Therefore, you are responsible for their success. And other trainers within this company will disagree with me, but I don't care. That's not the way it should be. Yeah. You have to love everybody at this company and help them as often as you can. And that's just something I believe in. And now that I've been here almost 2 years, I'm seeing it going, wow, you never know who's going to change your life.
Right. Right. My wife is in a network marketing company and very successful at it. And they teach people to remember that your organization is you and below. So a lot of the people like below her will say, well, it's your team. She goes, well, my team is me and below, and your team is you and below. Right. And they don't do that so that the person up here avoids any responsibility of all these people down there. They do it to teach them each to be responsible for those below you. And if we're all doing that, then everybody's going to get a lot of attention, right? And so I love it when a Scott Marlowe says to me, Scott, you're under Brent, right? Conley? Yeah, so what's that? That's Rosie, David, Mike, Brent, Scott. Scott's in my level 5. Right? Scott says to me, Rick, I need you to talk to somebody in my 2nd level, right? That's my 7th level, or my 3rd level. That's my 8th. I don't get paid there. Doesn't mean I don't talk to them. What the heck? I want to support Scott in growing his organization because Scott is building my 6th and 7th levels, right? So we are all each other's organizations, but we must teach also that they are responsible for those that they bring in. Meaning, if you need my help, then you need to tell me that Tom, who I brought in 2 below me, needs some help, right? And that's where that Free Friday coaching call came out of. Let me help a lot of people one time. There's over 650 people on that email list right now, and it started with 14 EXP people. That was it, right? And now it's over 650 people from all different companies all over the United States and Canada. And only 50 or 60 get on the call, but hundreds watch the recording that we send out. So that's the whole idea, is who do you keep reaching out to and saying, what can I do to help you? What do you need? And Mike, you said that perfectly. You said you have no idea what they need. You think they need the same things you do, and they don't. They need something completely different. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rachel, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'd love to, because for me, there are some tools that I feel like I need for a lot of the realtors I speak to, especially now where I would have normally said, hey, let's sit for coffee and I'll really show you everything. Now it really isn't happening like that anymore. So my questions are, do you guys have any tools? Is there something specific that you use? So let's say I've talked to a few agents now and they're all like, they're right there. They're right there. But maybe now there's somebody that I either need to kind of hand them off to, or like, what is the next step when I have them? They're right there. Now they've heard from me. They're kind of on board. Is there an amazing email that you send out? Who do I have them speak to really start the transition to go over into that? I mean, that's my biggest thing. I feel like I have right now numerous agents that are like right there, but if I had them speak to the person who could say, here's what we do, here's how we get started, here's where all of that is, that would help. Some tools.
You answered your own question. Get them on the phone with your support team. That third-party endorsement is everything. So kind of get an idea in your mind what they need and say, if I could get you on the phone with so-and-so that does X blank or you know what, a year, would you be willing to talk to that person for a few minutes? And that is everything. Nobody should ever recruit alone. I don't do it. Jesse doesn't do it. Rick doesn't do it. Scott, Eric, Sarah, nobody. Get on the phone and a Zoom and we help each other.
But watch this. And guys, I missed the entire call, so I'm excited to go back and listen to it later because I'm doing 2 Zooms at once. So I don't know if you said this already, but Mike and Rick, have you made the mistake in your career of recruiting alone? Or when you're at another company and you had to recruit alone, right? Yeah. How much easier is this and how much more fun is this to actually get to leverage your organization to recruit with them now?
Yeah. I love it, by the way. And that's how recruiting is in the network marketing industry. You never recruit alone, right? But if you're a KW team leader, what are you doing? You're like, I'm begging the people in the office to give me a name so I can go call them, right? You're recruiting alone, so yeah.
And Rachel, the past episodes that are all recorded on titaniumagents.com, almost every one we talk about that in different angles and different ways. So the best thing to do is watch all 5 of the recruiting bootcamp videos and then call me privately or Marco me privately and I'll list all those other ones they're at. We only have a few minutes left on this call, so I wanted Rick to be able to close out with whatever he wants to, but that's really, I mean, you said it yourself. Who can I get them to talk to? Well, you have an amazing support line of people, and you're very lucky. So you can get any of us on the phone.
And I got to throw one more thing in before we give it back to Rick. It's not just one person. I highly recommend you have them talk to multiple people. What we've been doing that works incredibly well is you set them up in a 3-way introduction, you send a group text message, or you tee up someone. So you have them talk to Mike. And when they finish talking to Mike, Mike says, cool, how about you talk to so-and-so? And you just keep moving them through the funnel, talking to other people until they basically heard enough and gone, this is amazing, I'm in. Yeah. Right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I always do that. I say, I'd like to introduce you to our team. Who have you talked to already? Well, just you. You're kidding. What are you interested in? What do you want to learn about? Oh, Rick would be fantastic. I mean, Rick is actually better friends with people below me than I am because I put him on a call with them and they bonded, right? Like, because I know how to match up personalities. And Lynette in San Diego, Jesse, do I recruit with you then? Do you have someone I could utilize? Yes, I have 5 inches in my pipeline. Of course, that's what we're all here for. And so we can work possibly even next week exactly on how to do the handoffs, the pass-offs. But you got to read the book, Building an Empire, and you got to make sure you watch all those videos because everybody else has a little bit of something that's helping each other. And it's funny, like Jesse or me will get on and say, yeah, I just recruited so-and-so, and we'll be on our group Marco Polo, and everybody go, yeah, I just talked to that person for an hour. Me too. It's a group effort. Like, and we're at the point now to where there's zero ego involved. Let's just get them, support them, and get rich, right? So it's like, before it was like, I closed that person. No, who cares? Good, thank you. Here's another one. Do it.
And Mike, the one thing I want to remind people too, in addition to what they're saying, is that everybody is going to get spoken to. Don't wait. You have no right to keep people from this opportunity. And a lot of other people know that, and they're going. I talked to this lady, I've been coaching her for free and helping her out. She's a big deal. She used to be a KW team leader, and working with her. Finally, I said, hey, I really got to talk to you. I've been helping you out a lot, but I don't want to do this as a favor exchange. I just think you need to know about this for where you are in your life. You're $150,000 in medical debt, and you need to look at ways to get out of it. And Keller Williams isn't that for you. So I had a real heart-to-heart with her. I made her watch the webinar. She talked to it. A week later, her son-in-law comes to her and says, I've been researching EXP and talking to a lot of people. She goes, if you're coming to EXP, you're coming with me. I got to her literally a week ahead of time before I could have lost her to her son-in-law talking to somebody that I have no idea who it is, never even heard the name before. And I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm not recruiting her son-in-law away from someone else. I'm recruiting her, and it'll be up to her to recruit her son-in-law, not me, because I don't want to break any rules. But I'm saying it just keeps reminding me, who have you not spoken to, and when are you going to make time to talk to them? So yeah, Casey is always reminding me, Mike, she's like, did you have him talk to Brent? Did you have him talk to Gene? Did you have him talk to Rob? You know, like all the time. So
yeah, it's a crucial point. And the most powerful call is the one that when you feel like, oh, I should call so-and-so, do it right then when you think about it. Because what the real estate gods are telling you is somebody else is calling them tonight if you don't call them today.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, as soon as you get that weird feeling, oh, I need to call Jesse. I'll do it next week. No, do it now, because I guarantee you they're signing an LOI next week with someone else.
Yeah, and it's totally okay, guys, to go, hey, I got you on the phone. The reason I called you is you popped into my head, and I know if you popped into my head, it must have been for a reason. So really quickly, I want to talk business, but I want to first ask you, how are you doing with all this COVID stuff? You okay? Like, do that. But don't be full of crap and go, how are you? Oh, now I got to talk business, right? No, tell them up front. I just want to talk to you about business for a few minutes, but before, I just need to check in. How are you doing? How are you doing with all of this? And if that takes a few minutes, let it, right? So anyway.
All right, we're out of time. Is there anything pressing?
I'm just so excited to go back and listen to this call now. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good. I'm going to go listen. This is a good call, guys. You get something out of this?
Yes.
There's some pretty good tidbits in here for sure, man. Let me
Love it.
I was
So,
like,
all right.
taking notes on what Mike was saying. And Jesse, you reminded me every once in a while I should probably wear a tie again. I haven't done that in a while. So.
I'm doing another event with Club Wealth right now where we're required to wear a tie. So I'm emceeing an event there and coming over here and going back.
I literally just took my jacket and tie off because of it.
Well, thank you, Rick. So we got our topic for next week. Rick, drop in anytime, dude. Now it's Thursdays at 12 o'clock. Next week's going to be the handoff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, let's all keep that in mind. That's a good one.
Okay.
All right, guys. Love you all. Reach out if you need us. We're here to support you 100%.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for making the time for us.